Hi, I'm Mike, founder of GoodBed.com. Today we're going to take you through the brand new Nectar Hybrid collection of mattresses. Now, those of you mattress enthusiasts out there who've been astutely following the mattress industry the past few years are surely aware of Nectar, and you may also be aware that Nectar, in relatively recent years, has expanded its lineup from where it started with one all-foam mattress to 3 all-foam mattresses: the Nectar Classic, the Nectar Premier, and the Nectar Premier Copper. Now, with this recent expansion into hybrids, they've doubled the collection, adding 3 models that actually parallel what they had on the foam side. So they've got a Classic, a Premier, and a Premier Copper on the hybrid side of the line as well. We're excited to give you our take on these mattresses. Stick around. All right, let's start by diving into some of the general points that all of these Nectar Hybrid mattresses are going to have in common. As I mentioned up front, they are going to generally mirror the foam mattresses on the other side of the collection. They're going to generally cost a little bit more than their foam counterparts. And in general, they're also all going to have what we would characterize as a gel memory foam over pocketed coil construction. They're all going to have 1 to 2 inches of that gel memory foam up on top, with some other foams mixed in as well. And then they're all going to share the same coil support unit. So let's talk a little bit about that coil support unit. It's an 8-inch coil, pocketed coil, with really a hefty gauge of wire. Now, if you're not familiar with gauge of wire, it basically means like how thick the wire is, which directly relates to how strong the coil is or how firmly supportive it will be. These, for the mattress nerds out there, will be a 13.5 gauge coil going across the surface of the mattress, which is a pretty hefty coil relative to most coils you find out there these days. And then going around the perimeter, you're going to find an 11 gauge coil, which is even stronger. The smaller the number, the stronger the wire. So you do notice that these mattresses have good edge support for what they are, these type of construction, particularly the memory foam hybrid type of construction. So that coil unit is a robust coil unit. 768 coils in a queen size is the coil count. And then that's, as I mentioned, 8 inches tall, sitting on top of a 1-inch layer of foam just to give those coils something to rest on. That's going to be consistent across all of these mattresses. As I mentioned, above that is going to be at least 1, if not 2 inches of gel memory foam. They're all going to generally have a similar cover. I should mention one thing that none of them are going to have that you do find on some of the foam mattresses is phase change material. So that's not part of the cooling story on any of these, but of course, what these do have relative to their foam counterparts is a lot more airflow built into these mattresses. The coils with the reinforced coils used for edge support means that edge to edge, pretty much in the bottom 2/3 to 3/4 of this mattress is just nothing but air. So that's going to add a lot more airflow to these mattresses. And on top of that, you are going to get some polyethylene fiber mixed into these cover fabrics. Polyethylene fiber is a higher density, higher molecular weight fiber. Essentially, I like to think of it as inherently cooler in the same way that a denser material like marble will tend to feel cooler to the touch than say like wood, which is a much less dense material. So by weaving that in, it's a way to add some cooling to these covers. You won't find, by the way, quite as much of quite as high a percentage of that fiber in the hybrids as you do in the foam counterparts. However, again, I think that with the added airflow that the coils bring, I think that's not as necessary to start with. One other aspect of the covers of these hybrid mattresses that they're all going to have in common is a new feature called microban, which is a treatment to the fabric that makes it more antimicrobial, antifungal, antibacterial. Basically, just the idea is to keep your mattress fresher over time. And beyond that, all these mattresses are going to have the same like stretch cover, smooth top. Aesthetically, you're going to find this kind of border going around the edge on all of them. You're going to find this charcoal gray fabric going along the side panel with the vertical stitching, and you are going to find handles with reinforced stitching on them to make them true functional handles that you can actually use to move, reposition, or even relocate your mattress. All right, so now let's move on into the details of the first model, the entry-level model in this collection, the Nectar Hybrid Classic. And you'll notice that the trim on this model is going to use that kind of royal blue that mirrors the classic model on the foam side of the collection. Likewise, you'll see the colors change in this trim to mirror their counterparts as you move up in the line as well. This is a 12-inch model. It's got, we talked about already, the 8-inch coils with the 1 inches of foam on the bottom, just as a lower support layer to give the coil something to rest on. So that accounts for the bottom 9 inches of the mattress. So we're going to focus on the top 3 inches as well as we move up through the line, like what's above those coils, because that's the only thing that's really going to differ as you move up. In this case, you're looking at 2 inches of gel memory foam right up at the top of the mattress, right below this cover, where you can really feel it. And then 1 inch below that of just a transition layer between the gel memory foam and the coils. In terms of the overall feel that we get from this mattress, I guess I want to start by characterizing that the memory foams used on the hybrid side of the line feel to me to be a little bit firmer. So as illustrative of that, this model here is a little firmer, or actually quite a bit firmer than the classic model on the foam side of the collection. And it comes from both more firmness at the top of the mattress, as you can see up here, or even as I hit the mattress, but also more firmness deeper in the mattress, which stems from those heavy-duty coils that I referenced earlier. So just in general, we put those things together and we come up with a medium firm classification for this model. Likewise, I would say that, and this is a true generalization across the line as well, that this model is going to have a little bit less of that deeper cushioning, less of that hugged or cradled sensation than you tend to get in its foam counterpart. In fact, we would say, in terms of that characteristic, we would classify this as having a bit shallower than average cushioning, meaning you're going to get more of that floating above your mattress type of sensation rather than that hugged or cradled type of sensation. Sleeping on rather than sleeping in is another way we sometimes say that. So that's that classification. As far as memory feel goes, another thing I would point out here that tends to be a distinction that carries through the line is there's a little bit less of that memory feel, that slow melting sensation. It's not that there isn't memory foam in it, as we talked about, there's 2 inches in this model, but it just tends to be a little bit more quick responding. Memory foam doesn't all respond the same. So this particular memory foam tends to respond a little quicker, recover a little quicker. As a result, you have a little bit less of that slow melting, slow recovery sensation that memory foam tends to be known for. In fact, not only is that true relative to the foam counterpart, but I'd say just even relative to all mattresses, given the fact that the average mattress today, memory foam being such a prevalent, pervasive material in mattresses today, the average mattress has some memory foam, and I would say that in light of that general context, this mattress we'd rate as having slightly less than average amount of memory feel to it relative to kind of like all mattresses across the market. Likewise, we would say this is certainly among on the bouncier side of the spectrum, again, relative to all mattresses, as well as for sure relative to the foam counterparts in this line. And that again stems from the sturdy coils that do have a nice little spring back to them. And then just to add a few other features that we did have a chance to look at in this hybrid collection, we did find the edge support on this mattress to be very good, and that's going to be a pretty big upgrade from what you're going to tend to get on the all foam side of the collection, because it stems from what I referenced earlier in those strong edge coils that go around the perimeter of this mattress, all the way around all 4 sides of the perimeter. We also found the motion isolation to be very good. We found repositioning to be quite easy on this mattress. And I should also mention, just as a general point about all of the mattresses in the hybrid side of the collection, that they are all adjustable base compatible. All right, so now we've moved up to the Hybrid Premier model, which is the middle model in the collection. Now this is going to be a 13-inch mattress. So they've added 1 inch to the profile when you step up to this model. And so we're going to focus on what is now the 4 inches on top of the coil unit in terms of what's in this mattress. And one thing that will be the same is you're still going to have a 1-inch transition layer directly above those coils. But on top of that, instead of having a 2-inch layer of gel memory foam, you're going to have this combination of a 1-inch layer of gel memory foam right up on the top, right under the cover of the mattress, with a 2-inch layer of an engineered foam that they call Active Lift HD. So essentially 3 different layers of foam above the coil units in this Premier model. In terms of the feel, we would characterize this one as the firmest feel of the 3 models in this collection. In fact, where we characterize the Classic as a medium firm on our spectrum, meaning the bucket just to the firmer side of medium, this one we'd actually just barely classify as a firm. It's really kind of on that border between firm and medium firm, but it spills over just a smidge into the firm classification for us. In terms of the cushioning depth, we would classify this as maybe just a little bit shallower cushioning than what you have on the Classic, but generally speaking about the same, meaning you're going to be sleeping a little bit more on this mattress, like we said with the Classic, a little bit less hugged or cradled, more floating. In terms of the memory feel and the bounce, whereas the Classic model had the most bounce of the collection and the least memory feel, what happens as you move up in the line, this being the first step in that direction, is you get a little bit more memory feel. Even though there's less memory foam, you get a little bit more memory feel, I find, on this, just a smidge. And then a little bit less bounce, which is going to be on account of the fact that you do have an extra inch of foam between the top of the mattress and that coil unit. So those are kind of the feel characteristics of this mattress. And then in terms of the other features that we looked at, really was a pretty similar story. The edge support continued to be very good. Motion isolation continued to be excellent. And so was the repositioning, also very easy to move around on this mattress. All right, so now we've moved up to the top of the line within this hybrid collection, the Premier Copper. And this is going to add 2 features. One, it is going to be an inch taller, so now we're up to 14 inches in total height. And the other feature that, of course, gives it its name is that there is actual copper fiber in the fabric of this cover. So first, let's talk about what makes it an inch taller. So now we have 5 inches of total foam above the coil unit. In this case, it's going to be 2 inches of gel memory foam right up on top. So we're back to 2 inches, where the Premier model has just the 1 inch up on top. And then it's going to have, like the Premier model, 2 inches of that Active Lift HD engineered foam right below that. So 4 inches of that kind of more premium foam, and then 1 inch transition layer below that, which is going to be the same as the other 2 models had. So that's 5 inches of total foam there. And then the cover, like I said, is going to be similar to the others. It's going to be a stretch cover. It's actually still going to have the same microband that we talked about. It's still going to have the same polyethylene fiber in it, but in addition, it has this little bits of copper fiber in the cover as well. And for what it's worth, you might be wondering, can you actually feel the difference? Well, I would probably say that if I were someone just walking in off the street who happened to touch these covers, maybe not, but I do feel that if the question is put to me and I'm actually focused on it, I can feel that this cover feels a little cooler to me than the Premier cover. Now, in terms of how we characterize the feel of this mattress, this would be, I think, closer to, a little bit softer than the Premier, closer to the feel of the hybrid. The Classic. We do classify it as a medium firm. If anything, it's a smidge firmer than the Classic, but still in that same medium firm classification. It's certainly, I think, the most distinct differentiation from a feel standpoint is it certainly has the most hugged or cradled sensation of the 3 models. I think it's still, in general, kind of toward the middle of that spectrum, but slightly more towards the hugged or cradled side, as opposed to the other 2, which were slightly more on the other side. And then as far as the memory feel and the bounce, as we mentioned previously, kind of as you move up in this line, you're going to get more of that memory feel and a little bit less bounce. Still though, I would say that the bounce is certainly well above average. The memory feel on this one, might be, again, just around average or just slightly more than average in terms of the amount of memory feel on the mattress. Now, in terms of the other characteristics that we looked at, let's start with the edge support. That attribute here is probably not quite as good as the other two models, just on account of the fact that there is more foam up at the top of the mattress. However, it's still very good, particularly when you compare it to other mattresses that have this kind of construction where there's memory foam going all the way to the edge of the mattress. As far as the motion isolation was absolutely excellent. That was probably the best of the three, but although again, all were very good. Repositioning, in spite of the fact that there's a little bit more memory foam here, was really not a problem and shouldn't be a problem for most people. So there you have it. We hope you found this to be a helpful overview of the brand new Nectar Hybrid collection of mattresses. Now, one thing we deliberately did not cover in this video was prices, because those are subject to change. So we do recommend go to GoodBed.com and search for the Nectar Hybrid collection to make sure you're getting not only the current price, but also the best currently available discount on these products. Now, while you're on GoodBed.com, we would also highly recommend taking the GoodBed quiz, which is by far the most advanced, in-depth, and objective mattress matching quiz that you will find. It will help you assess your full battery of needs, preferences, and priorities, and ultimately will help you make a better determination as to whether the Nectar Hybrid mattress is the best mattress for you. So we highly recommend it as the best starting point for any mattress shopper. In the meantime, we thank you for watching, and we really hope you sleep well.